Hey, what's up YouTube? Today's video will be the top shadow rips and I'm going to go over my Fireburst character that I'm doing. The shadow video will probably be pretty short because I went over it real fast before I started the video and it seems like most of the people who died on shadow did not stream. Maybe this is a more like hipster class, but some good news for shadow is it's actually a pretty viable spec in the Gauntlet if you farm the gear and you're able to play ED Contagion. So some of the rips are pretty top quality. There's some nice, pretty good ones in there that I hope everyone will enjoy. But before we start, I wanted to talk about the Fireburst character and how you can pretty much level up any character that's a witch, Templar, or Shadow super fast, or even Scion. And let's get into the Fireburster, or however high level I am, which is only level 14. So for the Fireburst character, I pretty much did not really twink out the leveling process that much. I'm only using a Tabula. It's +1 to level Socket of Gems though. It's pretty standard uniques. Karui Ward, 7 League Step, just some random uniques, rings and belt and gloves that I found in my stash. Now, the fact of the matter is, for casters, you really don't need that much crazy stuff to destroy the game. Most of your leveling speed will be, you can pretty much just use these blue crafted weapons. So at League Start, people always wonder, how do you actually get damage to kill bosses? And the fact of the matter is, wand crafts are pretty much like the same thing as crafting your fizz weapons every like so many levels. Like you upgrade to a wood splitter or a double axe. It's the same thing as for the wand craft here. So you can see how much, so this is a 20% spell damage wand, right? It's a 117.5. Replace it with a flat lightning damage and it's already up to 133. So before you do Merval or Vol, you can do the wand crafts. I think there's like some every like specific level that it gets higher and higher rolls. So it becomes very strong, and you can also aug, regal, and craft on spell damage if you really wanted to. So spell damage is always, so like crafting wands is always something very good and very easy to, what's it called, pretty easy way to level. So you might be wondering how to level the tree, and basically if you're a Templar, Shadow, or Witch, or even Scion, you always just make a beeline for Elemental Overload and take any of the corresponding nodes. So level 1 through 28, you'll be using Stormblast Mine combined with Orb of Storm, so you pretty much just Frost Bomb to get Onslaught proc, and then you press Orb of Storm, and then you throw Stormblast Mine in here, and you want to keep spamming it, and then you detonate the mines. And most bosses should die pretty fast if you crafted your wands. So this is pretty much just, I feel like, the best way to level, right? So if you want to figure out the best way to level, you just look at what the racers like I'm Exile does for Shadow or Witch. And Witch is actually a very good class along with Shadow because you actually get Smoke Mine and Flame Dash, which allows you to just zoom through the leveling process. So you can pretty much see you need no gear. All the bosses die really fast. There's no, you don't need any insane uniques. You pretty much don't even need a 6 link or 5 link even. I don't even have, you can see my spells are 3 links. So pretty much the gear requirement is very low to level this build. So right now I'm planning to do Stormblast Mines, and I'm going to get to 28, switch to Armageddon Brand, and level 50 I'm going to try to do Fireburst with Aberrath's Hooves. So it should be a pretty interesting journey. I'll report back. I will be streaming the leveling process, so I'll add some clips in of how this build actually plays in the leveling process. But basically Armageddon Brand is broken, and if they don't nerf it, it will be the best like leveling speed up to maps. So you can use it to get to maps, and then you can try to respec it. Or if you're playing Fireburst, I'm not sure how viable it is to get Fireburst early on, but we will see. But anyhow, let's go straight into the rip clips, because some of these are pretty cool. So let's get into the Shadow ones. So the Shadow is actually a pretty interesting class. Congrats to Big Dummy Dan, or Dummy Dan, for winning. He played ED Contagion. It did seem like that most of the, what's it called? So let me bring up Excel real fast so I can do the, what's it called, the harvest, map, and bossing, right? Because everyone wants to see what people actually die to. So harvest, mapping, and bossing. The Shadow's kind of an interesting class. There's a lot of like diversity to it. I think the two main builds were ED Contagion and Bladefall Blade Blast with Assassin, right? And I think some people also played some other stuff that was kind of interesting. I think I saw some Vortex in there and Wintertide brand with Trickster. But anyhow, let's get straight into the rank 1 guys rip. So this person was doing Maven. I know this video is quite kind of long, so I'm going to speed it up to where it is. So this is a build that you can't really die on this fight, besides one thing, which is the beam, which makes you not regen ES. Like Maven is a fight where if you have the regen, there's really nothing in the fight that really one-shots you. It seems dangerous, but everything can be logged out except that. So right there, he dashed into the beam. I don't know if he shorted his flame dash or what, or just panicked because of everything that was coming in here. But Maven is a pretty simple fight. It's very long though, and you have to do the memory games well. But for a character like this, there's probably zero risk of dying on this fight in terms of getting one-shotted, or any of these like mini bosses could kill him, because his regen is honestly just crazy with the block on hit. But this is probably just like this unfortunate death. Now the rank 2 person's death, you might think looks a little bit similar, and that's because it kind of is. So he's playing the same build, ED Contagion. They have the same life, and you can see what he does here. This is not a Flame Dash one. This is a Smoke Mine one. Now part of why this might be a little sketchy is because of the arena and how it's done, because you're supposed to stack everything underneath the brain. So this arena is a little sketchy, so that's probably why he felt the need to like flame dash, and I think it was too short, so he went into the beam. But same type of death. It's actually kind of crazy. Both of them died to the same boss at the same like HP level of the boss in the same way. And this is a Awakener death, so he's probably gonna die to the die beam, which is why it's called a die beam. So right here, you can see that there's this like annoying thing right here, right? If you were playing a slam build, you could vol ground slam it so that this thing wouldn't show up, so it won't cast the beam. But at last, he's not playing that, and he pretty much just gets beamed. So basically you can, there's an audio cue for where the clone is, right? Sometimes I can't really even hear it, but if you do what he does and goes to the edge of it and then flame dash like to the side, because it will aim where your character was, and as soon as you hear a voice line, if you flame dash to the side, there's no way it can ever hit you. But he didn't really do that. But that's just an unfortunate death. If you're playing a slammer, you could probably just press focus fortify and just tank the beam. But alas, these people are not slammers because they are actually a shadow. And I saw this death. This is very reminiscent to the Rise Cutie death that happened. I don't know. It's another, what's it called, Abyss death, where does he actually backtrack to where he was? Oh, I think I see him casting stuff here. I'm not really sure. Oh, he doesn't really backtrack. He just stays in one spot for maybe a little too long and just gets blown up. Actually, not really sure. Maybe it's the AoE explosion. I don't really know that much about Abyss League. Abyss League is one of the leagues that I skipped out on, and that thing actually looked pretty deadly. So this person is a Blade Fall, Blade Blast, and Katarina, eh? The Katarina, we saw yesterday that some people died to the little bugs on the ground that ran in. What's he gonna die to? I'm not really even sure. He just got killed by, oh, he got killed by the totem, or I think the totem, yeah, totem killed him along with the little like explosions on the ground. Yeah, this stuff, man, that's just an unlucky death. Probably should not have gone that way, but the fight is kind of sketchy and scary, and there is a lot of dodging. But let's see if we can do the Excel. We have 1 mapping death and 3 bossing deaths. So it seems like most of the top shadows do get to do some bossing, right? So that's pretty cool. So this person is playing ED Contagion. I was tired. DD RIP. Oh, Revenant. Yeah, this is probably just a tiredness rip, like you said. So I can already see what you like. See Revenants in the map is pretty dangerous in general. Yeah, I mean, I can see what's gonna happen, right? Yeah, especially with increased AOE, some of the, what's it called? Some of the explosions are a lot bigger than it normally would be, right? So you're just not used to it. That's a mapping rip, and this is Quantrix's Wintertide totem thing.
Locked it, right?
What does he get killed by? The beam?
Die.
Oh, I know. Oh, he gets killed by the stuff on the ground. I mean, that's just... I don't really know. I don't even think... These things are actually incredibly hard to see, so yeah, you can't even really see it. I mean, you can see it on the ground right there, but it's barely visible, especially with the visual clutter of his skill, even though it's not that bad, but yeah, that's unlucky. Unlucky, right? So that's another bossing death, and then we have a mapping death, so... Seems like Shadow play a lot of bosses in general. No harvest death for it. So next we have Zysh TV. Oh, I remember this one. So this guy, I think, wasn't gonna play that much anymore because he was unable to. So he was doing the dedication of the goddess, and pretty much the Uber lab is just a uber fast way to die on your character, especially when you have no mitigation really. Yeah, I mean that's just pretty much a suicide. I would pretty much consider this a bossing or whatever. But this kid's pretty much a suicidal death. But yeah. And yeah, next one, Six Link Vortex. So Vortex, I mean, I wonder, oh, this is a harvest death, so we have our first harvest death, I think. So let's see here. So he's having some trouble. So he's playing Vortex, and he pretty much just gets decimated. Not really sure what's on the map. It's only a 77 map, but I don't think Shadow is exactly the tankiest build. You don't have Fortify, and if your ES is gone, you pretty much have 5.3k HP with no flasks up and armor. Yeah, that is not gonna be a recipe for success for a build. Because it's just gonna be too squishy. And Gucci's death, I think I saw this one before. Is this the one he gets stunned by the betrayal mob, or what happens here? Yeah, he gets stunned by the petrified statue, and then he can't move, and he's confused, and then he just gets instantly killed by it, especially with a sub-fizz aura. So that's actually kind of unlucky. I think it was like a 1 in 500 chance for the statue to spawn. So like even for someone that played the games that much, because Gucci does play it a lot, he's still surprised by mechanics that exist in the game that no one really knows. So now we only have one more. It's another Vortex. So this person really liked the Vortex build, kind of like me with the Berserker. Some people just love the build they're playing, right? So this is another Abyss. I actually do not like this Vortex skill. This Vortex skill has horrible visual clarity. Obviously this is probably not a visual clarity issue, but this build is just not tanky enough to survive. With no Fortify, and I think he's just relying on some block, or I don't even know. Like, at 5.1, it's like what, 6.7 with no armor? A no armor build? Is he like phase aggro or aggro or something? I'm not really sure, but... Oh, he has a Rhyme Gaze at least. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't think this build really has a chance of surviving without Fortify, or... Because he should use Fortify with Vigilant Strike. But, yeah. Pretty cool concept, though. It is Wintertide brand. I wonder if this is similar to Quantrix's build. But this is another mapping death. But basically, you can see at the top level, Shadow is able to boss. Because you can farm up the gear for ED Contagion. You can do it in yellow maps relatively safely, even through Harvest, before you go on. And then, like, having 11k life, you're going to be pretty tanky. Like, both these deaths are not, like, deaths to the character being squishy. But I'm not really sure if the character could actually kill Uber Ziri, but I mean, these people killed Uber Elder, right? And let's see how long the kill was. 6 minutes 54. Okay, it's not like the fastest kill in the world, but he gets the job done, right? Like, it just has really good regen, and yeah, 10.9k life. Yes. Oh, I think the fizz damage is a little bit of a problem, but... And this build is slow. But, yeah, I mean, it gets the job done. I believe ED Contagion is a top tier build if you actually finish all your gear off. But that's going to be it for Shadow. And Yeah, overall the builds are pretty cool. Some diversity seems to be mostly ED Contagion, some Wintertide, Vortex shenanigans, but pretty cool class. And congrats to Dummy Dan for winning. It's kind of funny, like I was trying to look for 3.15 league starters, and this post actually summarizes it pretty well. So I'm gonna talk about this real fast before we head off. So people are trying to look for league starters, and they want to look for something that's not too crazy play, like what's it called, like slam builds or any archmage builds. So this person actually nailed most of the builds I think are the best. Max block bleed gladiator. So basically, if you have pops, explosions with your ascendancy, it's gonna be really good. So gladiator and occultist. Occultist you can play BFBB, or there's also Death's Oath. It actually doesn't even require a 6-link. Then you have Carrion Golem Necro. This is always really strong as a starter. I'm not really sure how good it is as a starter, but it can scale a lot. Toxic Rain Raider, a lot of people like this build too. It's very chill to level with. It's a pretty fun playstyle. EDC Trickster, the good old EDC, right? ED Contagion, always somewhat good boss. Somewhat okay bossing, not the best, but Blight makes it a little better, but really good mapping. Then you have BFBB Assassin, which I believe is probably one of the best overall builds for the league start. I actually would have probably played this last league if I could do it all over again. Or I would probably do Fireburst Elementalist. So you can see here, people mention Fireburst Elementalist. I don't really agree with Vortex, SRS Bomber. I actually don't really know much about this build, but I think it could be pretty good. And Death's Oath Occultist I think is actually really good too. So those are the main builds that I believe, if nothing changes, that will be good league starters. But as everyone knows, GGG loves changing the game. There probably will be 20, maybe even 30 new skills that they add, and they'll probably rework all of the old skills. So maybe like Shockwave Totem or something will be super strong, or who even knows. Maybe like Crackling Lance will become the new meta skill. We can always pray and hope that GGG rebalances the skills. But anyhow, everyone, thanks for watching. Shadow is a little shorter than usual, and I think tomorrow we'll do Ranger. And Ranger was actually a complete graveyard, so it should be pretty interesting to see. And if you enjoy the content, be sure to like and subscribe. Tomorrow I'll be streaming my Fireburst lovely, and hopefully I'll have the build fully set up. But thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope you find more mirrors and exalts than I do.